How's it going, guys? Very excited to have my good buddy Marco over here again. He's been on the channel a gazillion times, but I know you're gonna love hearing his story today. Let's go.
Subscribe now.
So Marco, always great to have you back. How's life going?
Jono, it's going fantastic.
Yeah, Jono. I haven't been called Jono since I lived in Australia.
Really?
So in Australia, if your name is like Jonathan Long, then they're going to shorten it to like Jono. But if it's short like John, then they got to lengthen it a bit like Jono.
I think we found your new stage name.
I hate the name Jono. Sorry to all the Jonos in Australia.
Maybe when you do, are we going to talk about the drag queen thing you do sometimes? No?
We're not going to talk about that or your pink underwear. So what I do want to talk about is why you moved to the Philippines. So tell us again, how many times have you been here?
Times. I would say probably 4 or 5 times.
Sure.
This recent time is the big one. So 7 months, I think we're going on now.
Sure. So this, for the foreseeable future, is home?
This is home.
Okay.
Yeah, I just recently, within a mental space, I've moved into Cebu is my home.
Sure, and you've been traveling around quite a bit, you know.
Yeah.
So what are some of the different places you've been since you've been in the Philippines?
So the recent trip, moving backwards, Quezon City, Manila, Muntinlupa, Mall of Asia, that whole central Makati area, and then going backwards, El Nido, Coron, Palawan, and Mindoro, San Jose, Mindoro.
Okay. San Luzon as well?
No.
Mindanao?
No, haven't been there. Haven't
Got
been
it.
to those yet.
Haven't been there. Okay.
But I want to.
Sure.
I definitely want to.
Yeah, pretty place.
Yeah.
So out of all of those places, why Cebu?
I think Cebu has the balance that I want. It is a big city, but very quickly, even on my bike, I can be out in kind of a province feeling area, whether I ride up the mountain, up towards Marco Polo and such.
Yeah.
So very quickly that can happen. It is the jewel of the South, right?
Right, that's what all the marketing of Cebu says. I love it here as well. I also think it has really a great, balance between kind of super big city life like Manila, bigger than province life. You kind of have everything that you want here. I do love the big city and I do love the province as well. So, and I love the islands. So I'd really like to be able to travel more. But from day-to-day life, and especially having a business, I think it's really helpful.
And actually, the one drawback is that Cebu, for me, doesn't have like immediate snorkeling. You have to go quite a ways.
About 45 minutes an hour to somewhere like Mactan by, Lapu-Lapu.
But even that is not, you have to go to, is it Moalboal or? Moalboal.
Try saying that 10 times
quickly. I know.
Yeah.
Or Bohol, Bohol.
Yeah.
I mean, those two places, I haven't been to Moalboal yet, but
it's a pretty place too.
Amazing. So, that's a small drawback because I'm going to be traveling anyway to these incredible, like El Nido. Hello.
Yeah.
Like one of the top dive spots in the world.
Yeah, incredible. Absolutely.
Check my YouTube video out.
That's right. That's right. All of Marco's social down below. So let's back up a bit. Where are you from originally?
Grew up in Southern California. And then moved to Oregon with the first family, my 2 sons and my first wife. Was there 20 years in Portland, Oregon area. And then for second marriage and business as a videographer after the 30 years of teaching was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
So those are all very different places.
They are.
And was it work or family? What brought you from place to place?
It would first time to Oregon was work, taking on a youth director job at a large church. Hey, we're kindred spirits. And then definitely the second marriage brought me to Pennsylvania. And then part of the deal was I'd open up my new entrepreneurial videography business.
Sure. And that's, to this day, that's really how you're paying the bills, right?
It is.
So tell us a bit more about your experience? I mean, what kind of work do you do with videography? You know, are you working with nonprofits or corporations? Are you doing documentaries or
yes,
commercials?
yes, and yes.
Okay.
And no on commercials. So definitely nonprofit promos for good causes. I did a lot of pro bono work in the beginning because I could. And then at this point, I still have done a lot of pro bono work as I've traveled. I find a great nonprofit, you know, I say, hey, I'll make you a video, and then I get to get inside the organization, meet great people. So, but I'm definitely a documentary trained filmmaker. You know, part of the transformation going on for me right now with the moving to social media is that you don't necessarily bring or want to bring some of those skills, because some of those skills take a lot of time.
Sure.
And when you have a quick turnaround on a YouTube channel, you can't be doing detailed editing like you're going to do for your feature film.
Sure.
So I'm learning quickly, and I don't know if it's quickly. I'm learning. You are dragging me. You and all your. This is what YouTube likes. Yeah.
Believe me, look at my amount of views on this video. I don't know. I'm the last one you should listen to about what YouTube likes. But I see what's popular out there and what people really watch. You know, that's for sure. So I think it's always the balance of, you know, obviously wanting a wider audience, you know, if you're going to put all the work into creating videos, but also have something that is, you know, meaningful to you and that you think you could help other people out. And it's a challenge to find the balance.
It is.
Sometimes.
And that would be absolutely critical for my work. My whole life has been about service. That's where I get my high. That's what gets me up in the morning. So if I'm not doing something that is in some way serving, I'm gonna very quickly lose interest, feel antsy and such. So hence, you know, whether it was what I was doing originally with Marco Explores, the YouTube channel, which basically sharing my journey with my friends and family. But now with the new channel, definitely this is going to be about making the world a better place.
Yeah. So tell us more about what you're doing with this new upcoming project.
So Being Empowered will be a social media platform based in Patreon. So I have said no to the algorithm, the YouTube gods that dictate what's popular or not. At least initially, I'm saying no. So it'll be a membership platform, and I'm still working out all the details of what that looks like. Mostly a Western audience, obviously, but I'm even trying to figure out a formula with Patreon that allows all my Southeast Asian audience to participate in, even if they can't afford $5 a month.
Sure.
So that's the goal, and then teasers and behind the scenes and things like that would be on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
Sure. So what kind of content are you planning on having?
This is the classic Oprah, Ellen DeGeneres.
Which is all of what I think of when I see you. Maybe a little more Ellen, but...
Either. Gosh, you put me in those categories, I'm a happy camper. But it's definitely go out, tell a human story, and then not only tell this human story of probably some sacrifice and challenge and overcoming, which in the pilot episode, it's like glaringly obvious how that story is amazingly inspirational. But then taking half of all net proceeds of the Patreon channel, and that goes to supporting this person in hopefully a long-term sustainable way, not just a check, but something that continues to enrich the community's life. That's the goal.
Yeah, very, very good. So let's fast forward a bit. You moved around in the U.S. for, most of your life. I know you've traveled around Southeast Asia a lot. You've wound up here in Cebu. Why travel to begin with? So what made you, start to think, well, life here in the U.S. Is great and all, or maybe you weren't thinking that, why didn't I start traveling overseas?
Well, John, we need to go way back. Way back. So an only child and adopted. And I was an alien compared to my adoptive parents. So my adoptive parents were, I'd say, typical American, and they were great, by the way.
Yeah.
Incredible, Kathleen and Bob. But Kathleen and Bob adopted this boy child who obviously in his DNA from moment one was like, that mountain, I shall go climb it.
Right.
I don't care if I'm 5 years old. I can go climb that. You know, so
Sure.
I was constantly. They were probably saying, "Bob, where is Mark?" I was referred to as Mark in those days.
Sure.
So it's in my DNA. It always has been. But I was living the American dream. I got married. I was teaching, all those things, and so I never. I always knew I wanted to travel, but it just never was. My parents didn't do it, and then I didn't have time because you're raising kids and family
Sure.
and career. And then in 2012, I finally had some time, had some money, especially summers when I was off teaching, and I started doing my service work. So I went over to Dominican Republic. I loved it. I mean, I can't tell you how much I loved it. Even with the physical discomfort of humidity and bugs and God knows what else we experienced during that summer. I loved it. So I knew I wanted to do it.
I get it. So what do you think it was that you loved so much about that? So you just mentioned a lot of the discomforts. In the US, I'm sure you have none of those at the time. What do you think it was about traveling there that just made you love it in spite of the inconveniences?
And again, this might go to what's written in our DNA. I'm not sure, but I think you and I and the other travelers we know, I think we're a very small percentage of the population. I think most people say, yeah, I like to travel. But I think most people like to travel like 2 weeks a year, I like to go travel and then come back home. I want to be home. And so, and your DNA is probably a little more like that. Mine, oh my gosh, it's just always been, I want to know the unknown. I've always been attracted to the unknown. And so travel gives me that, like, okay, you are in a completely different culture. Nobody speaks English. What are you going to do? So it's a challenge. And I love human beings. I just love lighting up people's life. I had mentors who lit up my life. And so that definitely was contagious. And now I do it wherever I go.
Yeah, yeah. So for you, the initial, part of it, is it just, brought out a part of you that it sounds like you didn't know was there until, you kind of discovered it and you've never been able to look back. So where are some of the other countries that you've been?
So the 2012 Dominican Republic, I did Haiti, that trip also. And then it wasn't until 2019 in January, after a second divorce, okay, now I'm really free. I have money, and my kids are grown. So then it was all the recipe for, I can go see the world. And through some things, circumstances and such that kind of pushed me, all of a sudden it was okay. So I did a month of research and I literally said, okay, I'm in Portland, Oregon. So if I get a globe and I put my finger through the center of it, where would it end up on the other side? And it was Southeast Asia.
Interesting.
And so my first stop was Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Interesting.
And so then it was just a quick little.
And why there?
Because number one, that's where my finger ended up. But number two, there was one connection to some dear friends that are American Bangladeshi, and they had friends there. So I was like, well, at least there's kind of a safety valve if things don't go well.
Sure.
So I was being reasonably wise. I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Sure.
My gosh, which I have kind of created some videos trying to capture, like how blown away I was, because Dhaka, of all the Southeast Asian countries, that is probably the most difficult and will shock your senses the most. So far, at least for me, it's Dhaka.
Sure.
Makes Cebu look like, an American city.
Right, and that's where they have a big rally race, I think, every year and stuff like that as well.
Really, in Dhaka?
I think so.
Don't know about that.
I think so, yeah.
But they have a rally race every second on those roads with no lanes.
Right.
Go wherever you want, whenever you want. Honk your horn as you go.
There you go.
It's just so crazy.
And so what'd you think of it there?
Well, it was when you first do that, burn the ships in the harbor, sell your car, sell your house, sell everything, get a little storage closet and go, there's huge energy. So I'm glad I had that, because between mosquitoes and dust and, if I go there now, I definitely have to really gear up. But my initial energy, I was out in the streets immediately. I was having a blast. And it's the only place that I was a freaking rock star.
Right.
I was. They would come up to me, and the part of Dhaka that I was in, which is called Uttara, no tourists. Zero tourists, almost zero expats. So I was the anomaly walking around, but everybody wanted selfies. And so it was...
That's cool. So everybody's super friendly, hospitable.
Yeah. So it was just an overwhelm, but in a good way. So I was there for 3 weeks, and then I made some really close friends with, especially one gentleman, Mujib, who ran an English school. So I came and taught at the English school, and I just loved it.
That's great. So where else? Give us kind of a list of some of the other places.
Then from Dhaka to Nepal, Kathmandu, 3 weeks, and then to Bhutan. That was just 1 week. Love Bhutan. Then to Kolkata, India. Then I tried to come back to Dhaka, but they didn't want me, so they deported me from the country for a later story. And then I went to Thailand, and Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam. Then I went back home. So that was 4 months. It was like, okay, I'm going to do 4 months. We'll see if I like being a nomad. Do I like all this? I loved it.
Sure. So what year was it when that all ended?
That was all 2019. So got back in the U.S. summer of 2019. Immediately started making plans of how am I going to get back. And I also said I'd love to have a travel partner. So that's when I jumped on dating sites, and so I found somebody who would be my girlfriend for...
Your dating girlfriend.
My dating girlfriend for 4 months, and she traveled with me, and that was wonderful.
Sure.
Yeah, it really was. And I came back, and then I kind of went to all the same countries except the Philippines. That was my first trip back to the Philippines, because she was from the Philippines.
Right.
And she was from this area in Cebu.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So out of all of those countries, why do you think here?
So I would say, and it has, part of it's dating. Okay, so at least the site I'm on, which is called Cherry Blossoms, it really
For all you girls out there wanting to date this guy, Cherry Blossom, now you know where to find him. All right.
My gosh, I think I'm inactive, sorry. But it specializes in American Filipino. It has other countries, but it's mostly that. And it's been kind of the most real one, but I know there are other good ones. So that's one reason. And
because you're hoping to find a partner from
Correct.
the Philippines. Okay.
And the Philippines would be a leading candidate for that person because of the English. And I know everybody talks about that. One of the huge positives for the Philippines is that most people have some English enough to communicate, and many are fluent.
Sure.
So language and communication, at least for me, I know for you, it's huge. When I go into, let's say, a province of Laos, there is zero English, and it's a novelty. It's fun to be out there. I'm doing my gestures. I'm using my theater arts to communicate, but you can't do that forever.
Sure.
You
Hard
can't.
to live like that.
Yeah, because after a while, you've already told them you have 2 kids and you're divorced how many times, and you got to, if you want to talk about anything of substance, you have to have complex language, and that learning another language, and as we both know, is very difficult.
Absolutely. So in all of your travels, you've really loved the experience of being in different places, connecting with different people. But for you, number one reason why you've wound up here in Cebu for the long term is really, this is where you want to meet somebody and settle down.
Well, there's another reason.
Okay, let's hear it.
And I'm looking at it.
Some other pretty girl. Oh, I'm the pretty girl this time.
Yes, you are.
All right.
You're the
I've always wanted to be the pretty girl.
You're the blue-eyed blonde, right? No, it's quite seriously. Our connection coincided with my first dating experience, which was a girl from...
Okay, wait, let's just clarify that. Our connection with your first dating experience...
Are we going to tell the truth, John? Is it time to come out of the closet, Blair? No. We're both very hetero, but very supportive of any other lifestyle.
There you go.
Correct. Yeah, no, you and I connected, and
we connected... I forget if it's through Internations.
I think it was. I think it was Internations, and we just recognized, because we both yearned for deeply connected friendship that can just talk about anything, and we have that, and it's rare. It's rare in the United States. And yet here we kind of found this. We realized it to some degree online, and so one of my goals was to get here and meet you.
Yeah.
And then that's blossomed into not only all these possible soulmates that are here in this local area, but also now my platform and everything. I'm basing it right out of here, at least to begin with.
Yeah. So you came here, especially looking for a partner. What's that been like, here now that you've been here for a more extended period of time? How would you say your experience has been so far?
Exasperating. It's been long. It's there's an exhilaration of I'm in the dating game again, and when you're at this age, being in the dating game, there is a certain wow, and especially here, because as we've talked before about foreign power and the women, being generally very open to you, it's intoxicating. So all of that has been, but it's been going now 2 years, and I am really ready to let that go and find the one. But I just haven't found yet. So, and granted, and we've talked about my little checked boxes that I have. I have a lot, and I'm actually continually questioning, with your help, of okay, I need to remove some of these boxes possibly, because I do want to be happy in a monogamous situation. Her supporting me supporting her, and such. So, but it's even. I get on Cherry Blossom. I can be on there 1 week and I'll have my inbox with 50 possible filtered, these are possible. So that takes a lot of time to now start communicating. Hi, my name's Marco.
It's a full-time job.
Maybe
you need to hire a full-time VA with Purple Cow just to help you filter.
We've talked about that. Hello, boom. I say that's the new business model for expat. I think most expats, at least that I see, and I don't want this to sound like, I'm just way more picky than everybody else, but I think a lot of other expats, they don't have quite this criteria, and they're okay to sacrifice, let's say, a fluent high-level English.
Sure.
I'm not.
Sure.
That just has to be there. And so that does knock out a big portion of the population here that just doesn't have that level of English. But it's just critical for me in how I do relationship, whether it's friendship or a soulmateship.
Yeah, I get it. So I think that for you, being able to communicate with somebody, have deep conversation, really connect, in a meaningful way is very important to you.
Right.
You're looking for something for the long term, and it does take longer. I think a lot of guys watch expat channels here, and they just see how many beautiful Filipinas there are and seeing people happy. But the hard part, no matter where you are, I think, in the world, is just finding someone that is really right for you, that you connect with, that'll work for the long haul. And so, I'm kind of watching from a distance. Well, not from a distance. I'm watching pretty up close.
You're in the inside.
I'm in the front row. Yeah, kind of watching your journey over here, and
you're backstage, my friend.
All right.
You're in the green room.
I don't want to brag. I got my Marco fan pass. Watching your dating journey over here, and
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. But I think if you're really looking for a great relationship, it's not always quick and easy as the YouTube videos make it look.
And this is why I have friends like you and my American friends, the constant reminder of it's going to take some time. Be patient. It might be tomorrow. It might be next year. But and I admittedly am getting a little antsy and like impatient and, oh, here we go again. I mean, I just had a recent, I thought it was it. I thought this might be it, and then it's not. And so it's like, I mean, literally depressing. Like just, and it's not long depression, but it's like, okay, back to square one, and man, opening up that cherry blossom again, was like, here we go.
Right.
But I have also, through even just walking through the city, met some possibilities that way too. So, who knows? I mean, some people believe in kind of the whole destiny, and if you're religious, God will provide, or if you're New Age, my vibes will, magnetically pull her in. And I believe a portion of all that, but I also believe in hard work.
Sure.
And the great thing about the dating sites is you have this incredible algorithm filter computation that you cannot do out in the real world.
Yeah.
So I do it, and I'm doing it.
I hear you.
Thanks for asking.
You're welcome. So, always love hearing more of your journey over here. I have one final question for you. If you could have a TV commercial that has a short message on it, what would you want it to say?
About the Philippines?
About anything you want.
I'm assuming it would be effective and reach millions.
It could only reach whoever you want.
Millions. It would be the secret of life, according to Marco. The Gospel of Marco would say that if you are in service to others, and that could be family, and of course here in the Philippines, whoa, you don't find more dedication and commitment to family than you do in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. But that service to others is the secret to life. Happiness, contentment. For me, it's not so much family at this point, but it's just the human beings that I come in contact with. And so whether it's, and I've learned this through a couple mentors I've had, whether it's I go to 7-Eleven and I see that clerk's having a tough day because the other expats are treating him poorly or something, or her, or I'm out doing, in a small community, and I'm going to do my best to light this community up and appreciate them and have them appreciate each other and just have a really maybe appreciation for what life is, even though we look at a lot of life in the province of like, wow, that's difficult living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Great
That's
message. Thanks again for being here.
Oh my gosh, this is always a joy. Thank you for all the good things you're doing.
My pleasure. Well, guys, I'm sure you've enjoyed watching this video. If you want to see more of what Marco is doing, check the description below. I'll leave some of his socials down there. And as always, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Take care.